It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. I'm Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. They say in life, it's not how you start that matters, it's how you finish. Today's guest, Shaka Senghor's story reminds us that the worst deeds don't define who we are. In 1991, Shaka shot and killed a man. He was, he says, a drug dealer with a quick temper and a semi-automatic pistol. He was jailed for second-degree murder and spent much of his time angry, blaming others for what happened to him. That could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't. Instead, it was the beginning of a new journey with humbling and sobering lessons for us all. Shaka is a writer, mentor, and motivational speaker whose story of redemption has inspired thousands. He has appeared on Oprah Super Soul Sunday and is the author of the book, Righting My Wrongs, Life, Death, and Redemption in an American Prison. Welcome, Shaka. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, Shaka, your story, it proves that it is never too late for any of us to change anything that we want to do differently. So tell us about your journey. What was going on in your early life that led you to the violence that landed you in prison?
Yeah, so in my early childhood, I grew up in a household where I dealt with some very serious, child abuse at the hands of my mother. And my father was pretty much complicit in that in the sense that he did nothing to really intervene. And so at the age of 14, I ended up running away, got quickly seduced into the drug culture, and experienced every imaginable horror that comes with that culture, from childhood friend being murdered to myself being robbed at gunpoint, beaten nearly to death, two of my older siblings being shot, and then I myself was shot at the age of 17. And around 14 to 16 months later, I got into a similar conflict, and I decided to fire what turned out to be 4 fatal shots, tragically causing a man's death.
So when all of this was going on in your life, basically you didn't see a future for yourself, did you?
No, I thought my life was over. I mean, at the age of 16, I attempted suicide. I was just so depressed and really just disconnected from my authentic self. And then when I ended up going to be sentenced to prison, which turned out I got sentenced to 17 to 40 years in prison, I thought that was the end of the story. I thought my life would end with me behind bars, and that I would never see an opportunity to redeem myself.
At that time, Shaka, did you understand what you had done? Did you make the connection between that murder and yourself?
I didn't. It took some years. Fortunately, I was really blessed to have several things happen during my incarceration. 5 or 6 years in, I received a letter of forgiveness from the victim's family. And that letter kind of basically laid the groundwork for my own personal transformation. Then also, had some amazing mentors who are currently serving life sentences. And they really, really inspired me and challenged me to grow and read and learn. And then the third thing was getting a letter from my son and him just expressing how devastated it was for him to find out why I was in prison. And that just really challenged me to look into myself, and I started journaling, and that's when I began to take writing seriously.
So you decided at some point through all of those events that occurred that you wanted to turn your life around. So while you were in prison, what action did you take to live up to your word?
Well, while I was inside, one of the first things I began to do is journal. And I began to kind of go back and navigate the things that I experienced during my childhood, and that was really, really powerful and impactful. And then meditating, once I began to understand what had transpired, I began to meditate and pray and study and writing just became my therapy.
So, Shaka, because you were on the inside, you have an understanding of what goes on in the minds of prisoners. And is it common for people to turn their life around the way you did?
I think it can be common if we create the atmosphere for it to happen. I personally believe that all human beings are redeemable. I haven't met one person who didn't have a desire to turn their life around. When I was inside, it was just a matter of knowing how to do it and what was necessary to make that happen. For me, it was really a matter of, being literate, being able to read, and be inspired by books like the autobiography of Malcolm X and Nelson Mandela and other brilliant writers and people who had amazing stories. But it was a lot of hard work, and so what I believe is that, people by nature are redeemable, and we just have to create an atmosphere, especially in our prison system, to help those, specifically those with mental illness, who suffer the most inside that environment.
So, Shaka, what have you been doing since your release?
Yeah, so when I got released from prison, I knew that I wanted to work with young men and women in the inner city. I grew up in Detroit, and I felt like my real debt that was owed was to the kids who were growing up in the aftermath of the lifestyle that I lived. And so I mentored schools. I adopted pod every year at my local youth home, juvenile detention center, where I worked, with the administrators to help the young men read and learn and study and prepare them for life after their detention. Worked on criminal justice reform on a national level with an organization called Cut 50. And those are the things that drive my work the most.
So when you were younger, before you ended up in prison, you were talking about being angry and falling in with the wrong people and doing acts that, I'm sure growing up you never imagined you'd be doing. So when you're working with kids that are they're angry, they don't see any hope for the future, they really don't see anything that's possible for them. Are they listening to you? How do you get through to them?
Yeah, well, they're definitely listening. What I found is that young men and women growing up in tough environments, a lot of times when we try to mentor them as adults, we tend to talk to them more than listen. And what I found is that listening to them really helps me just guide them and provide them with the resources necessary for them to make better decisions. The thing that really matters to young people is authenticity, street credibility, and realness. They don't want nobody who hasn't had a real lived experience that mirrors theirs coming to tell them what they need to do. They really want to connect with people who come from where they come from, but who figured out how to navigate their way through life despite the obstacles they may have faced. And so just being able to be connected to the environment and who they are, what's important to them, has allowed me to be very effective as a mentor.
For someone that's listening to you right now that might be heading down the wrong path, whatever that path might be, and he or she wants to turn his or her life around, what do you say to that person?
To them, I would say, take it one moment at a time, not one day at a time, but one moment at a time. Because oftentimes we try to live so far in the future that we can't deal with what's right in front of us. But if we take it moment for moment, you'll figure out the steps that's necessary to turn your life around. And you'll start finding that you will attract those things to you. I believe firmly in the laws of attraction. Mm-hmm. And I believe that when you focus on what you really, really want in life, it becomes kind of like your GPS or navigation system, if you will, that allows you to really know when you're going off track and when you're going off route, but it also gives you the direction you need to get towards your goal. But it just really starts with the moment, being in the moment, being present in the moment, and understanding that life happens moment to moment.
Obviously, you believe in second chances, and we all make mistakes. So why do you think second chances are so important for other people and for ourselves?
But I think second chances are so important because it allows us to see the best in humanity. I mean, you can't fully experience joy without understanding that, pain exists and that it's part of our reality. And it's the human thing to do, is to give people second chances to redeem themselves. We throw away so much genius and so much brilliance in this country, and it's really sad and sickening to know that once a person has made a poor decision, that they'll be held hostage to that for the rest of their lives. And I always ask people if they've ever done anything that was really, really embarrassing or that they were really ashamed of. And most people have done something that they're not proud of, and no one wants to be held hostage to that moment for the rest of their lives. And so why would we do that to somebody else? And then the other part of it is, most of us have some type of spiritual or religious background or belief system, and the cornerstone of that is redemption and second chances. And so if we're going to really practice it, we have to allow it to play out in our real lives.
Shaka, how important was your faith in your redemption process?
My spiritual faith is really important. I mean, being spiritually grounded allows me to navigate through the emotions of the volatile environment that I was in, but it also allowed me to tap into my inner strength and really to see myself as connected to the universe and connected to other human beings in a real way. And so without that, I wouldn't be the man that I am today.
And part of this turnaround that you made in your life was because of the letter you received from your son. So what is your relationship like now with your family?
Well, my relationship is still evolving. I've only been home 5 years. I was incarcerated for a total of 19 years. So I've only been home a little over 5 years. And, every day is a day of learning and growing as family. It hasn't been easy. It's hard to reconnect when you've been gone for 2 decades. But, we just take it moment to moment and we enjoy each other when we're in each other's presence. And, I'm just looking forward to continuing building those relationships.
The book is Righting My Wrongs, Life, Death, and Redemption in American Prison by Shaka Senghor. If you would like to get more information about the book or Shaka's work, you can visit his website, shakasenghor.com. That's SHAKASENGHOR, shakasenghor.com. Shaka, in our final moments, what's the takeaway? What do you want to leave our listeners with?
Well, I want our listeners to walk away understanding that everybody has the potential to turn their lives around. That transformation is real and that redemption is possible if we create the platform and the opportunity. Collectively, we can do it.
Shaka, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story of forgiveness, hope, and second chances. Your story reminds us that our worst deeds don't define us, and I think that is such an important message. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate you.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit cyacyl.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.